It's time to dad.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Time to Dad. This is Joe. I'm here with Luke, Nick, and Alex today, fresh off a big Dallas Cowboy win the other night. So we are super pumped as a Dallas Cowboys fan and football fan. Not only did they crush the New York Giants, they helped me win in two of my fantasy football leagues with their defense. So we're going to talk a little bit about fantasy football, some sports, and I'm gonna have fun in this episode. That's for sure. So anybody here into the football, the sports, fantasy football?
Runs in fantasy football, but I tried watching the Seahawks game here in Florida and learned all about out of market coverage and Seattle Seahawks in Florida, unless you pay YouTube $300 for NFL Pass and $75 a month for the next 5 months.
I spent my wife sent me something last week, and it was that YouTube package where it's like 80 something a month. And so I spent the better part of Sunday because she's a 49ers fan and I'm a Minnesota fan. And so our games never air here. They're always beat out unless they're playing a home game on like an East Coast team. And I spent the better part of Sunday early afternoon trying to find a streaming service, and I actually posted in the dad group, and a couple guys gave me some stream links that were questionable. Yeah.
I just found one. My cousin introduced me to it because I posted something months ago, and I found that I don't know if I should say the name live because then it might go too big and then get canceled. That might be off-land, but it's one of the ones that go through Wi-Fi. But it's basically every football game from any local channel. It's basically every channel. I got rid of cable. Completely got rid of cable. It's got absolutely every single channel you can think of. I'll do that, and it's either $15 a month, or you could pay $120 for the year, and it comes out to $10 a month.
Exactly.
So it is paid. So is it legit or is it not legit though?
It's legit on my TV right now. I mean,
that's as legit as what I was watching.
I got a VPN, so I'm able to stream the last part of it once I figured out how that worked. And when you get a VPN, it's basically like I say, I'm
you can tell it you're in Seattle or somewhere.
Stream it through Fox Sports, but it was a bitch getting it set up.
Yeah, I saw that too. People use VPNs, but I think I read that a lot of the networks are catching on, and they've got some pretty good filters in place to.
This thing was crazy. It's like 30 seconds behind the live stuff.
Yeah, that's what I found.
It's got NFL Red Zone. It's got every single game. So there was 8 games on at once. You're just able to click through and go watch through them. It's got all the the normal channels, HGTV, news, those type of things. I haven't found a channel it doesn't have yet. It's got HBO movies.
Joe's gonna get a knock on the door.
Yeah, I might, but I wasn't the one that found it. So
thank you for the team, Joe.
I found some dudes told me a website, and it was it was kind of questionable, but it worked. So fuck it, right?
Yeah, hey, listen, it worked. I got to watch football. I only paid $10 or 15 because I did the month to try it out before I did the 120.
Nice.
And you get it on 2 devices. And my cousin's been using it for 2 years, and he's gotten like every Yankee game and everything. And I was like, all right. So I had him walk me through it. I did have to PayPal some weird random person, but
Bob at basementdweller.com or something.
Exactly. But right now he seems like a great guy, so I'm okay with it.
Nice.
We're friends now.
Yeah, I didn't have to pay, luckily. I just had to close 9 million web ads that popped up when I opened it. So I probably got all kinds of malware on
I'd rather nothing to do with that shit.
Yeah, I didn't have any ads. No ads.
I didn't do it on this computer, so it won't screw with our recording.
Yeah, no, this was just like I was watching normal TV.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was the normal games. They had commercials, everything.
Put the name in our chat so we can see this link.
I'll send it in the chat. I'll send it in the chat for our viewers, not yet, in case it gets closed down and then they come sue us before we even have anything.
Yeah, who told you about this, Joe?
This is next podcast.
Yeah, I don't own any legal rights to that.
You're recording that.
All right, so favorite game yesterday then. It can't be the Cowboys game.
Well, yes. So, yesterday was technically Monday, so that was my favorite game.
You know what I mean? Sunday. Time flies
Sunday.
when you're having fun at work. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, yeah, the Sunday night game was great as being a Cowboy fan, but the Miami Dolphin Los Angeles Chargers, right?
Yeah.
The Los Angeles San Diego Chargers, really, right? But that was a pretty crazy game. If you're into high flying speed and touchdowns, that was the game.
Yeah. I enjoyed. I hate Aaron Rodgers with a passion. So watching that game and seeing him come out was kind of I feel bad about it, but when you're a Vikings fan, all you do is.
I am not a Jets fan. I am not a Jets fan at all, but I was actually upset and kind of hurt a little bit. I wanted just like, it's like the buzz in New York right now is just like, it's exciting, even though when you're not a Jets fan, it was kind of just exciting to see if they were finally going to be good and have stuff going on here. And just like that, 4 snaps into it, not even one throw. And done.
Since he must be fuming. Like, imagine being in this spot. Like, hey, imagine being the team owner. You've just given all these trades for this dude.
Yeah.
3 minutes in.
Well, there was I forget who posted it, but they lose that first round pick they traded for if he doesn't play 70% of the season.
65.
Yeah, it's now dropped down to a 3rd round or something.
Yeah. So I was like, well, that's a shit stick on a sandwich.
Yeah. No, it sucked. It sucked for that, a lot of purposes there. I mean, listen, it sucks for the NFL, but one thing I have said many, many times is I don't know how they have the NFL Players Association, has not chose to remove turf and refuse to play on it, because I've been playing fantasy football now 25 years. I've been playing since I was 9. Back in the day, nobody ever tore ACLs. Nobody ever tore Achilles. It was like one guy that it happened to, and it was like the weirdest thing. Everybody was like, what the hell is an ACL? Nobody knew what the hell that was. Right? And now it's like every play you're watching, like, oh my God, did he tear it? Did he tear it? And it's all because of this turf. Because of the turf and fun. Because what happens is these guys, their cleats, they're wearing normal cleats, and the turf has no give. So their cleat will get stuck in the turf. Yeah, it doesn't stretch and tear like regular grass would. Yeah, because grass, it's going to rip the grass. Their foot falls, they slip, and they fall down. Crap, they fall. Here, no, their foot gets stuck. They tear because they're stuck in there, and they're freak speeds and strength, Yeah, I mean, I've read a couple different articles on that whole thing, and I'm torn which one to believe, because on one side of it, you do have them saying that it's the turf, it's that they don't have cleats that are specifically designed to function better with turf, and then on the other side, you've got experts talking about schedules and the practice regimen and the different style of training that they do now that kind of follows the whole stronger, faster, longer type scenario, where they're basically saying that these players are burning themselves and their joints and all that out with their practice regimen, even in their training in the off season, that they're not getting enough time off to heal and rest and all that. So I don't know which way to go, but I agree. There's definitely been an uptick since there's been more turf
bigger, stronger, faster than they were 50 years ago. Just because of training, and it's just done so intensely, and the science.
Well, there's so much science too. I mean, you're no longer just doing squats in the gym, as a lineman or what. I mean, you are specifically targeting super small muscle groups with the science they have now.
But with that science, they should be getting better at reducing injuries as well.
Yeah, but when you look at the gains,
better at healing injuries, I'd say. But
Aaron Rodgers had no muscles. Look at him. Come on.
Oh, you said it, not me.
You know, he tore the Achilles just because there was nothing else. I mean, you know, he wasn't working out. I mean, the guy went into a cave.
Well, yeah, and then the reports started coming out, and they're like, well, we don't know. And then it turned to, well, he's not coming back into the game. And then you got all the analysts that got involved doing the slow-mo, and they're like, yeah, it's definitely an Achilles injury. And I was like, man, that you never want to see a player hurt as much as you dislike them or a team or that personally. You just don't want to see it. But
you'd rather him just suck. That's it.
Dude, I was in 3 leagues last year, and 2 of my leagues were just riddled with injury. I mean, every friggin' week I was having to go find free agents for half my damn lineup because there were so many friggin' injuries.
Somebody needs to explain to me how this fantasy football works, because I just don't get it. I don't know.
I don't understand any of it.
I mean, it's like you basically you draft a lineup like similar to an NFL draft, right? You do your draft style. Everybody picks their team of however many players. Usually you got a certain number of receivers, running backs. You have a flex spot, which is typically like a wide receiver or a running back that you can put either of those there. Usually have a tight end minimum, certain number of wide receivers, a defense. Sometimes you have kickers, but basically everyone drafts a team for how many players you set your league up to have of each position. And then you get points based on either, you know, your defense's performance or your quarterback's performance. So some leagues you get points strictly on the number of yards a wide receiver may get. Other leagues you'll get a point per pass that they catch plus points for yardage. It just depends how your league's set up, but that's basically all it is. The better your players perform in their individual game, the more points you get towards your fantasy team.
Does everyone just throw money into a pool and winner takes all?
Yeah, I mean, you do what you can do cash, you can do not cash. But yeah, everyone will put it in a pool and
change it up.
Yeah, and then you decide you either do like a winner take all, or you do, you know, first maybe gets X amount, second gets X amount, however you want to split it up. It's totally up to you because like the websites don't take your money. You just put your money wherever.
Punishments.
Yeah, you give it to the guy in the league that's not going to like run off and spend it all on booze or something.
We did last place punishments in a few of our leagues. So we had.
I have not done one of those, and I don't plan.
We had the guys whatever amount of hot dogs Joey Chestnut ate at the Nathan's competition. That's how many they had to eat in like 3 days. So there's like 76 in like 3 days. So every year it was like, all right, it was exciting to watch the hot dog eating contest because that's how many hot dogs the loser would have to eat, you know. Then on the other league.
Sadistic.
What's that?
Didn't realize it was so sadistic.
Oh yes, well, and then my one buddy from New York moved to Cali, so he was far away from us, and then he started cheating and was using like chicken hot dogs and healthier versions, right?
Chicken hot dogs. I didn't even know they made that.
Yeah. Then we had another guy. He had to sit in a Waffle House he had 24 hours and he had to eat 24 waffles. Right, so 24 waffles. So for every waffle he ate, it would take an hour off. So if he ate 12, he only had to stay for 12 hours. If he ate 16, he would have to stay for 8 hours.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
So
remind me never to join any of your fantasy leagues.
Yeah,
Joe,
then we did the
this should be a game show, Joe. This should be a freaking game show. What you just said, it's magical. That's amazing.
It makes it so fun because it's like now you're fighting not to get last. Because what happens in a lot of right. So my brother one year had to do like the hot wings, and then one of my buddies this year he had to make a calendar, and every month he had to take one piece of clothing off and like have it like in different positions, different things. So, like, and he had to make a calendar, and then he has to send the calendar to everybody. That's
great.
That's
So,
what I
like,
guess for once right there.
1 month was just like a big dump in the toilet that he just put in like a picture, all stupid stuff like that. Him walking in a car with like just underwear on,
Do you know what's funny
Oh.
is it's going to go off topic. I don't mean to, but this is why men and women are just so different.
100%, dude. 100%.
Because women don't
We're never
send
gonna
each
be
other
the same.
calendars of shit pics.
We're just never going to be the same. Like we can all be
Never.
equal, but we're different.
Dude, women
Yes,
can be
that's-
ruthless though to each other.
Yeah, but in the
I'd
Oh,
be
yes,
scared if it
ruthless
was like
to each
a
other, definitely.
end of season challenge, like women only league.
Yeah, but they would do it to actually get mad and like hurt the person. We do it because it's fun. It's kind of like when guys get in a fight, you punch the person in the face, your best friend's 8 minutes later, right? Like, no, they
Sometimes.
dig and find something that happened when they were like in high school and like tell the world. That's the difference.
We can do like it's filthy shit, but excuse the pun. But it's you can understand the humor behind it being a guy, whereas a woman would just be like,
Yeah.
"That's just
Why? Yeah. Why would you do that?
well, I mean,
Yeah.
That's like those memes. Those memes I always see, and it's like a guy doing something shady as shit. Like he rigged up a fucking like A-frame ladder on a staircase, and the meme is like, this is why women live longer than men, because the guy's doing something dumb as shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
to a woman's point of view, it looks dumb as shit, but to the guy, it looks very thought out and not as questionable. As a guy, you're like, well, it fucking worked. He's not dead,
Yeah.
so.
And also, like having boy-girl twins and watching the difference between them and how the girls are all neat and sure, she has like her diva moments and she throws, screams and whatnot. But generally speaking, she puts things back. She's all this. Levi is just like bull in a china shop. Just like yanking her hair to get in front of her, just like get out of here. It's just different.
Yeah.
Like you can't deny
Our
it.
son, our son's like Wreck-It Ralph, so he'll come running up to my wife and like get like, almost touching her like nose to cheek just to give her a kiss. But the way he approaches her, like beelining it across the room at full speed and shit, like freaks her the F out. And he'll do it to me, and I'm like, is he gonna slap me in the face? Like, what is he gonna do? Because he's just, he's bullying the china cabinet, man.
Sign him up for football linebacker right there.
Yeah,
100%.
That's it.
dude, he's a goofball. Kid has no fear too. I'm kind of scared.
Does any of your kids play sports or?
Not yet. I think I talked about it before. I've been pushing wrestling with Emerson, which I was talking to my high school coach and when I should get him started, and he was thinking around 5 or 6. So that'd be this coming year. But yeah, I want to get him into baseball. We want him to try
in school.
Do what?
Do they have wrestling at that age in school?
Not in school. It's all like private league at that age. It doesn't start in school till middle school.
Okay.
And yeah, that's when I was introduced to it, and that's why I reached out to my coach, because I felt like, I wasn't great, but I was pretty good in high school. But I still felt like if I had started earlier, I missed out on a lot of the like fundamental building blocks that probably I could have been even better.
Right.
And so I reached out to my coach, and he was like, yeah, I think 5 or 6 is good, because I used to, my high school hosted a little league, wrestling league every Sunday. And our wrestling coach was the head of that little league and putting it on every Sunday. And so he'd pay a couple of us on the varsity team to come on Sunday afternoons and referee the kids' little stuff. And some of them were like really with it and really understood what the hell was going on. And then you had the other kids that were either got really upset if they got taken down too hard and just didn't understand, or they thought it was just, the whole idea was just to run at the other guy and tackle him. So the like spectrum of kid participation was all over the place. So,
no, sure.
But it's something near and dear to me. So I wanted to get him into that for sure. But overall, we want to at least let him try a bunch of different, like, I don't know shit about soccer. Never did soccer. I mean, I understand the sport, but I couldn't teach him how to play. But that's still one of those sports where we at least want to get him on the field, at least let him do one season, see if he likes it or not.
Soccer is the fastest growing sport in the States, from what I heard. It's definitely
It's huge, but I mean, it's
growing popularity massively. Soccer and rugby both are both sort of on the up and up.
Yeah,
I know rugby's been climbing the charts of popularity.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
how
think that has a lot to do
a ball game is really played. By.
Say that again?
I didn't hear what you said.
Nobody caught his
I'm gonna
joke.
jab you guys.
Is that an Australian joke?
No, it's an African
That's
joke.
it.
I mean, I grew up playing soccer, so it's like I've seen the adaptation of like when it was like not big at all here, and now it's getting bigger and bigger. And before I did do what I do now, I had like a soccer training business here in New York. So I had like 6 different teams. I coached high school, and even then, like me growing up playing soccer, I didn't even watch it. The kids I coached, they were like, like, oh, coach, did you see this? Did you see that? And I was like, no. But they were all into it. Even the kids that like weren't that good, or like sometimes it's like the best player, like on the team that doesn't watch. Every single one of them watched it. Like they all really like, which was not the case when I was playing. None of me and my friends watched it. We all watched football and basketball, but we played soccer, or whatnot. But it definitely did a big turnaround. It's turned into more of a business though here.
I like soccer for young kids because I feel like it's the easiest to jump into.
Yeah.
Like
nobody
at that
really
age.
wins.
Well, I mean, at that age, we're talking like 4, 5, 6, maybe when a kid starts playing soccer.
Yeah,
and what do you have to do? You run and kick the ball, and know there's a goal you got to get it to, and that's basically it. I mean, when you start trying to get a kid into like baseball, there's bases you got to know where to stand. You have a position in the field you need to stay at. You need to pay attention. You got a ball on a tee. I mean, football, you got even more crap to learn. And understand. And I feel like soccer is probably just the easiest thing to introduce a kid into a physical sport outside with exercise.
Yeah, hockey would be the same, but it's a little bit too dangerous.
I'm not saying it's an easy sport at the pro or middle school, high school level. I understand there's skill involved, but I think that's the most approachable sport if you just want to get your kid doing some sort of physical exercise in sport format.
It's also the most universal game there is, I think.
Yeah, true.
In every freaking country, a version of soccer is played. Whereas American football is unique to America, rugby is unique to a few countries. Like cricket is just a couple countries. Like it's all, but soccer is just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what blows my mind is all those posts I see about travel teams and the costs associated with it. You ever see those in the dad groups?
No.
Where they've got, I mean, they usually travel. They either have a game like Friday night and Saturday all day, or they have Saturday all day, Sunday all day. But they travel all over the place. I mean, they have little regions, so they're not like, at least the leagues I've seen, they're not going cross country. But you're staying in hotels overnight, out of town every friggin' weekend. And these guys are talking about how it's like, we're doing a fundraiser because we need, $3,000 for my kid's team. And that's just for their kid to be able to participate.
I was
to be able to travel, be on the team.
In Washington, it doesn't include the traveling. It's $2,000 per season and about $400 to $500 per uniform. And there's 2 seasons per year.
Crazy.
So he's looking at $5,000 to $6,000 per year, and wait for the kicker. The kid is 6 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I see people post that and they're like, yeah, my 6-year-old's travel hockey team. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
My kid's
surely.
The hard thing with hockey.
Go kick it.
The hard thing with hockey is there's not lots of places that have rinks.
True.
Like ice skating. So like I know, like for example, we have a family friend, and like they live here in Long Island, but No, they're going to Delaware, Massachusetts, Connecticut.
Mm.
And it's like they got to take off of school on a Friday to get there for early game Saturday morning type thing. And then, there they might play 2 games or 3 games and then drive home Sunday. So like their
I
hockey's
just
like a
don't
brutal
get the
thing.
appeal of that. When, I mean, you
I
usually
think
have
parents that are hoping their kid are going to make it and then realize that if they would have just
Dude,
saved the money, they didn't need the
And it's if
scholarship.
the parents had that experience as a kid themselves and they want to give that experience to their kid, I can tell you, as someone who never got that, there's no fucking way I'm spending $6,000 a year on one of my kids to kick a ball around. Like I'm playing soccer.
Well, I forget whose podcast it was I was listening to, but they had it was a guy that works for one of those like really fancy like sports. It was basically sports training, individual training for your child, various sports, but you basically pay for your kid to go here. And he was like, man, we bring in like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from these kids. And he was like, in reality, maybe one of the 200 to 300 kids that come into their facility is even going to land a college scholarship.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention their chances of going pro after college are even less than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like looking at all these parents that shell out, $3,000, $6,000, $9,000 for these sports, and I'm just like, holy hell! Like I don't want to say their priorities are a little out of whack, but damn.
I'll give you an idea. Like when I was coaching, right? So I coached obviously high school, but when I was training, right, I got a license to train, and I was new, and I didn't have. Like your Australian accent, Luke, would be perfect. Like that's what everybody.
I'm so glad I was not taking a sip of my water right then.
I was gonna leave music.
I had to get it.
Luke is gonna find you, Joe. Luke is gonna find you.
Little inside joke. Luke is not Australian.
I Australia one more time. I'm kicking that button. I'm on. What? I'm joking. I'm warning you. I'm not
We're
joking.
gonna need to do more interviews.
Luke is South African, everybody. All right, so, but then accent, like as a New Yorker, when I'm coaching the team, like if you had an accent, you could immediately charge like $10 more. Right? Like people that came from like England, like that was just something like made you better at soccer or a better coach having that. So we didn't have that, and we were still new. But I charged $85 an hour. That's what we got, and I was on the lower end of it. Right, it was $120 for an hour and a half. So I would train a soccer team, $85 an hour. If I trained like individual or smaller sessions, like not like a whole team, I would break it down to where it was like 60 for an individual. So if you had like one kid that wanted to just do a one-on-one session, it was $60. And then I would tier it down. All right, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. And then it was like 4 kids was like 25 each. So then it was $100 in that out, so, and again, I was pretty cheap compared to a lot of the others because,
did you have did you have the coaching background?
I played in college, right? I played obviously my whole life, and then I was coaching from age basically 16 to
okay. So yeah,
something. Then I went away to college, and then when I came home, I started coaching again.
This as a side hustle and like make an extra few $100 a week.
You definitely could with the accent. You would get hired in me. I'm not even joking.
Referees are in short supply for everything, man. They pay a little bit if you need a side hustle. You just gotta deal with the Karen parent.
Yeah.
Karen and Ken.
Yeah, I never had too many issues with parents. I had like one parent, and I remember, and it was just the kid was just terrible. He, great, nice kid, but he was just not good. And it was one of our more competitive teams. And listen, you're there to win, obviously build and character and all those things too. And there was a time, and he was just outmatched completely. And I was using him, in that game more as just giving a breather to some of the kids. And there was one point he went out, and it was a close game, and I put him out on the field, and I had to bring him like right back out. And then right after the game, like it wasn't like his only minute into the game, but it was just like so quick on that. And it was like definitely had a conversation after, and had to explain the whole situation. And hey, this is a travel team, it's competitive. Not everybody's going to get the equal time, and blah blah blah. Which is something I always preface in the beginning of the season, anyway. It wasn't just like, oh, your kid is not going to play because he's not good. But
it's tough, man, because like someone said something shitty about my kid, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about. Like it's like a knee-jerk reaction.
Well, you do have that. You have the parents that think their kid is like the greatest in the world, and it's like you are watching the same game that I'm watching, right? Like I understand you have a little bit of favoritism, but you still can't underestimate
reality a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, that's the steep curve, right? Is if you're one of those parents that just wants your kid to play every sport, and at no point do you try to better them at one in particular, they just kind of hit that wall where the kids that have been baseball since the time they were like 8 years old are just going to outshine you. I mean, it just is what it is, regardless of whether your parents are great athletes. If you're an athletic kid in general, if you don't pick something and focus on it, kids are just going to be miles ahead of you. And it's just going to be miserable like that. And it's even worse, I think, when you do have a parent like that, where like, we are watching the same game, right? And you have a parent that's not, in my opinion, not doing their job parenting by coaching their kid through that and just explaining that, like, you're at a level in sports where if you're really, really good, you're going to get more play time than somebody who's not all that great.
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple dad posts in there, and this one dad got tore the F apart because he basically, told his daughter, like, you know what, you didn't make the team. Like, that's nobody's fault but yours. You can either take this season that you didn't make the team and better yourself and try again, or you can just kind of accept failure. And he got ripped. I mean,
really?
There was no middle ground. Like, there were either dads were like,
like, I would never post in the dad group.
I thought it was interesting to read, and he was just looking for confirmation that what he said was correct, and he got it from 50% of the dads that responded, but the other 50% were like, "Dude, I can't believe you would say something like that." And I think it was a young teenage kid. I think his daughter was like 12 or 13. Okay. I mean, so old enough to understand. Yeah, we're not talking like Pee-wee baseball here.
Put in a dad group that you smack your child in the bum.
Well, don't do that either. But
we don't need.
But I mean, he got tore the F apart, and it was just kind of mind blowing the amount of parents that were like, some of them were like, "Well, you shouldn't have said that. You should have put your kid up on a pedestal and ream that coach a new one." And then you had the people who would have been like me that were more kind of down to earth and just explained the situation.
Yeah, and that's why there's
participation justice, man. I really do.
Yeah. Well, and that's the only reason I'm hesitant to ever try and coach for my son, because like having wrestling being my primary sport after I stopped like baseball and football, there was no, you were either good enough to lead that weight class for your team, or you didn't wrestle. We didn't have a JV team that got to wrestle on, Wednesdays instead of Thursdays. You were either the best person on your team at that weight class, or you didn't wrestle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it was from middle school on. So that's always just kind of my mentality. If if your kid wants to play, and you have to be at the right level of the sport, right? I'm not talking like T-ball where you're still learning basics and everybody's going to suck.
Where it's actually competitive and
exactly. Where, yes.
Which is a whole thing of life, though. I mean, that's a whole, right?
Yeah.
Like, sports is growing.
Well, that's my thing too. Yeah.
Like, you're a mechanic, Alex, right? Like, and right? Like, just because somebody else can show up with the tools doesn't mean they can do the job just as good as you. They shouldn't get the same job with the same level of doing it, right? Like, sports is kind of one of those things that grooms kids for adulthood, right? That's like, as a coach, that's like one of the biggest things I remember, right? Grooming the kids to become successful, good character adults. And if you, in my opinion, right, baby them and tell them that they were great when they weren't, or that they did it right when they didn't, that's going to cause that mentality that I think sometimes.
I would say, looking at the state of the world, there's a lot of bathing going on.
Yes, yeah, it's causing issues, right? Like,
Yeah, but yeah, and no, I agree. But how do you, if you're one of those people that doesn't like, we got participate. Wow, I'm not even gonna say that fucking word.
participation trophies. There
If
we
you-
go.
yeah,
Thank you,
thank
regardless,
you.
Nick. You can have a trophy.
God damn,
We
I
got
must
it.
be from Australia or something.
We got it. Oh my
Uh, if
You really want
You
to
know,
leave in the middle of an
I think-
episode?
yeah,
Jeez.
I mean, I think there's a time and a place for those in an age group, but how do you? It's happening like through all levels of sports now. So how do you seek out if that's the type of parent you are, where you want your kid to fight for that spot and work hard to earn a spot to play? I don't know how you weed out finding
you
a
become
league
the
that
coach.
made. Yeah, that's the only way,
The
right?
tiger parents out there, the tiger moms and the tiger dads, who just like drill their kids. Like, you give it your all, and they're like 5 years old, just want to play and have
Yeah,
Mhm.
fun.
there is. I will say, yeah, that's probably another piece too of it. Is
Well, that's
you
the
can
bad. The other
you can
bad-
literally go beyond what coaching your kid to do their best and basically forcing your kid to do their best.
Well, that's an interesting thing, right? Like, so would you guys want to coach your kids? Would you want to just be the parent and enjoy the side?
Don't you send kids to sports so that you can have a break? Is that just me?
I want to coach him through the like pee-wee and like little league stuff
Okay.
I want to coach
because
sportsmanship.
well, and I say that because when he gets to that competitive level where it's you're good or you don't play, I would rather help him through that aspect from the outside in and kind of give him some life perspective on it rather than coach him on a team through that, if you follow.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is, like, I don't care if the kids excels in a specific sport or not. It's like, I never excelled in any specific sport, but shit, I had fun in a bunch of them. And
Yeah.
I'm happy with who I am as a man. So it's like, it's not a big deal to me.
That,
But-
yeah,
The attitude that they have in the experience is what's important.
yeah.
Are they giving it their all? Are they truly doing their best? Or are they being lazy and shirking and sort of pawning things off? Or are they being shitty sportsmen and like bad losers? That's what I care about. Like, be a graceful winner, be a good loser. That's
Yeah.
to me is way
Mhm.
more important than.
Well, and that's going back to the character thing, right? Like, that's
Character is way more important than anything else.
I saw something the other day, and it was a coach. I think it was a college coach, and he was talking about that, like with all the athletes and everything, and all the parents that are pushing. He was like, "There's, we see thousands and thousands and thousands of students come in, and he's like, maybe one or two of them make it to college or professional.
Mhm.
He's like, but every single one of them, God willing, make it to adulthood. He's like, so if I have a job, is it to get the 2,000 to be successful in life, or the one or two to be successful in sports?"
It's really good, yeah.
Right.
Well,
And
you
I
can
was like,
still
damn, that was
suck
good.
at sports, but learn life lessons through sports.
100%.
I mean, you can always learn perseverance, hard work, ethics, morals,
You mean-
sportsmanship.
Sucks at sports.
Yeah. And
Shit I could
I
do
mean,
as well, man.
even if your kid's the worst player on the team, if they understand why they're not getting that play time, but they still want to participate in that sport or on that team, maybe they just like being with their buddies during practice, even though they're not, not out on the game day field. As long as they understand that,
Yeah, some of them.
Then that's
some of them
fine.
do. And they, like, I remember in high school and college, some of the kids, they didn't care if they played. They just wanted to hang out and have a good time and be part of it. College, it was like, all right, where we're partying, and those type of things. That's what they wanted there.
We had a
Or-
team, there was always it was called the Pirates team. And those are the guys who they just wanted to play. They didn't give a shit about the accolades, the competitiveness. They just wanted to have fun. It also turned out to often be the dirtiest players because they just wanted a little bit of a sort of a brawl. But it was a fun team.
Yeah.
You were there for the experience and for the fun.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say that that movie Rudy comes to mind, where
Yeah.
he didn't make the starting team, but he still felt personally responsible for being on the practice squad and bettering the players that were on the varsity team, you know?
Yep. But that's true in life. Sometimes you do have the kids that are like that, where obviously, listen, everybody wants to play, but they understand that sometimes there's people that are just better than them, or the position they play, has this all world talent. Like I know, they were a little bit older than me in high school, but there was two goalies, this kid Timmy and this kid Chuck, and they were both phenomenal goalies, like awesome. And the kid Chuck would have started in any college, any high school, anywhere else. But Timmy was just like all world talent. He plays in the MLS now, right? He won MVP like 3 years in a row of the MLS. I forget what his name is. Tim Melia. Tim Melia. I think he's still in Sporting KC.
MLS.
Major League Soccer. That's what MLS stands for.
American.
So like, yeah, that's it. But like he was awesome, and unfortunately, Chuck was behind him. But Chuck didn't care. He was like on the bench ordering pizzas. So like the game, he'd have like Domino's deliver him a pizza on the sideline, and like he made the best of it. But it was still that team, being around friends and stuff. That he made the best of what he had.
Yeah.
With you guys.
What was that?
That's why I'm on this podcast with you guys.
That's
Because you couldn't make the Major League Soccer team. Is that why?
The successful podcast we're taking. So.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Hey, you got to start
Good
somewhere.
thing we just did those interviews. This might be the last episode for Luke, everyone.
Oh man, you did it, Luke. You did it.
Luke gets fired after the session.
Yeah, we're just gonna mute Luke the rest of the episode.
I like how Nick said we were democracy earlier, but it was looking more.
I know. I was like, one of you smart Alex is gonna say something. This guy's gonna be like, "Wait, are they joking or being
Did you
serious?"
tell them that we get paid $2,000 an episode?
No, I didn't tell him that. Shit, you'd think that's what I told him. As many people as that messaged me. Good
that was
Lord.
crazy,
Dude. Hot to clue you guys in. We weren't going to talk about it tonight, but to clue you guys in that are listening and watching, we decided it would be in our best interest to expand the group a little bit. So I put a couple posts out to see who wanted to, if anybody wanted to join us, and it was kind of it was slow at first, and then it got very overwhelming, the number of messages I received from guys.
But it's cool. It's cool to see how many committed dads are out there.
No, 100%. That was that was the best part. Was to that right there let me know that we're doing a good thing. That many dads reached out to, and I mean some of those groups have thousands of posts a day. So the fact that they saw our posts, and it wasn't an easy process. I mean they had to message me. I added them to a private Facebook group so we could talk a little further. And there was some scheduling stuff to kind of do some interview, chatty type stuff with them.
Joe, Alex, and Luke went on about their lives and waited for Nick to say, "Okay, we're ready."
Yeah. But yeah, so
everything, and we just show up and talk.
Yeah,
occasionally in a dictatorship, the peasants will revolt, and that's what basically happens.
I'm going to be overthrown. But so we did that, and that was pretty cool to see. So hopefully within the next couple episodes, you guys will see some new faces on here, and our goal in that is to not only expand the different views that you're going to get from different dads on this show, but also just to kind of make the content more wholesome in general. So that's where we're at with that. I had to spill the beans because y'all wouldn't shut up about it.
and to get our Facebook group into more than 15 people, whatever is in it.
15 people. I don't know how many.
Oh, yeah.
We had some people.
They thought we were actually going to accept them, but really we were just driving the video views up.
Nice.
I'm just kidding, fellas. I'm just kidding. No,
Well,
but
we will
I
have
mean,
to
it
be
was cool,
members
and I
soon.
appreciate them all reaching out, and I think they appreciated us getting on there. They had to give up a little free time. We gave up a little free time, but it's a pretty cool process. You meet a lot of interesting people that you might not have come across otherwise. So it's been a cool process. But yeah, stay
you learn
tuned.
so much too. Yeah, I feel like every time we meet with somebody, I learn something that, like, different states or different, things that stuff that are legal, stuff that's not legal, and things that people do and don't do. Like man, I either got to start doing more, or I gotta,
You just gotta get on the interwebs.
expand my horizons a little bit.
Yeah.
That's my New Year's resolution for the past 5 years, is just to do more.
Do more.
Just to
There's no
travel.
too specific on that, though. Just do more covers it all.
Yeah, man. Just do more. Just do more. Whatever it is, just do more of it.
Anything. Yeah, I was gonna say you can do just about anything and do more of it.
Yeah. It's like the that movie with Jim Carrey, Yes Man. It's like whatever it is, just say yes.
You can't say
yeah,
no.
dude.
Clearly, you don't know what I do when I'm not on this podcast. 'Cause do more would be a good
Do
thing.
you do less?
Do less is good. Less is more sometimes.
You just sit by the pool all day, don't you? Eating club sandwiches or.
Well, I don't mean it to be like vaguely just wide. It's just I'd like to travel more, see more of the world, and get tattoos.
I'm not knocking it.
Weird
I'm just saying the
countries, you know what I mean?
possibilities are endless with that statement.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to be more focused than that, because then I'd be like a squirrel trying to get all my shit together before winter comes, trying to figure out what I was actually going to do more of.
Yeah, it could turn into a lot of things.
That's a million dollar question. There's a good topic for another day.
Well,
what should we do more of? If we were to pick one thing to do more of, what would that be?
More tattoos.
Yeah. But someone else is doing the tattoos.
That shit's expensive.
You're just wearing them. Someone else is doing them.
See, you can trade like mechanic work for tattoos.
If you were to choose more of something, what would you choose to do?
I have a buddy that was he was in a band that I used to be really good friends with, and that was literally how he paid for all of his tattoos. He was a mechanic, and he would literally, anytime somebody's shit broke down at the shop, they'd call him and he'd be like, yeah, it's going to cost you this many hours in the seat or whatever. And he'd go fix their shit. But I mean, he's covered in tattoos because of it, man. I mean, they're expensive. If you go to a good artist, it is not cheap.
I've got 4 so far. I haven't paid for one so far.
You got to do more.
Do more. Definitely got to do more. But I've got to find someone else to do more, and I'll wear them.
There you go. All right, well, sweet. Hope you guys have fun talking about little fantasy football, sports. I think that's mostly what we talked about. Everybody, make sure you do more, whatever that more is for you. And yeah, like we'll talk a little more later on the interviews and adding a couple guys to the group. But we appreciate you guys sticking around. Like, subscribe, check out the Facebook group. Find me in the Facebook group, and I can add you to the private chat. We've got some cool stuff where we're trying to introduce some kind of guest dads to pop on here or there that may not be part of the core group, but that we think can offer some specifics on a particular topic. But we appreciate you guys as always, and we'll see you next week.
Do more.
Do more, baby.